So what we want to do now is start to come up with a plan or a system to implement some of these ideas. So the first thing I want you to do is we're just going to spend our first week only tracking your outbound phone calls and the number of leads that you receive. Now, I always get questioned on what a lead is, so I'm going to help you define it. If you have a name, contact information, which would be email, phone number, something like that, and intent, which is buy or sell. If you have those three things, name, contact, intent, then you have a lead. So I want you to give yourself a tally mark every time that you get a lead. That's what we're going to do for this first week, just outbound phone calls and number of leads. Now for week 2, as we begin to implement this, is we're going to keep tracking our leads and our outbound phone calls in this week, but now we're going to add appointments. We're going to add face-to-face interactions. So any type of appointment that you set, could be a listing appointment, could be meeting with a buyer, it could be meeting with some folks at an open house, sitting down to coffee, even with a past client. Those are all face-to-face interactions. In week 2, we will start now tracking those. Now in week 3, we are going to continue what we were doing in week 1 and week 2, but we are going to add a few more. So I want you to pick a total of 12 things to track. It could be sending out thank you cards, number of leads you receive, number of outbound phone calls, number of appointments set. You're going to track those 12 different data points in your business and start to play around with some ratios. For every 10 phone calls I make, I seem to get 1 lead. Those are the kinds of ratios that we want to start looking at. There's another Michael Gerber quote that I think is perfect for this moment. He wrote a book called The E-Myth Revisited. It's a book that I have read probably 25 years ago and have revisited reading it myself 3 or 4 times over those last 20 years. And I absolutely love this quote. What he says is we need to work on our business, not just in our business. So keeping track of the numbers, doing the data collection, this is working on your business. I realize that what I just talked about can be very overwhelming, and it cannot be done without systems or a process, some kind of a sheet that you are looking at every day, keeping track of these things. This is something that I can help you with. I do not want you to overcomplicate this and get overwhelmed so that you are paralyzed from doing it. I want you to track your numbers. And what I'd like to do is offer this to you. If you will put the word track in the comments, I will send you a daily, weekly, and monthly tracking sheet for you to keep track of your income producing activities and start to work on your business, not just work in your business. It is very important when we're tracking our numbers not to compare ourselves to any other real estate agent, but only to compare ourselves to our own activity from last month. We want to improve our activity from a month ago so that this will compound over and over and over until the volume of work that you do has massively increased over the last year or 2 years. This is a long play, but you have to be looking at your numbers so that you can understand them and understand your business. There's a saying that I'm sure you've heard of that says the numbers don't lie. So we cannot forget that. If you're not doing very much activity and you're not making very much in income, those two things are correlated. So what we want to do, increase the activity, find out how that increases the income, and remember, the numbers will not lie to you, but you have to track them in order to find out why we're doing this, what you should be doing more of, and maybe what you should be doing less of. Through the years and decades that I worked as a mortgage lender and I worked closely with thousands of real estate agents, I found that those real estate agents who were keeping track of their numbers were the ones that were consistent. They're the ones that were successful. I cannot emphasize this point enough. I know this isn't necessarily everyone's favorite thing, but you cannot ignore this side of the business. I think that anyone from any industry will tell you that we cannot rely strictly on luck in order to find success in our own career. We have to put in the work. We have to track what we're doing so that we know what we need to do more of, what we need to do less of, what we're doing great at, and what we might need some help with. We need to understand that the numbers, keeping track of appointments, phone calls, thank you cards, emails, DMs, all of this stuff is one more data point for us to learn more and go deeper in our business so that we can then pour our energy into the right activities. I really want to challenge you to take this seriously and spend just 5 minutes a day keeping track of your numbers. Those phone calls, those numbers of leads that come in, all of this stuff has got to be written down so you can look back at it. And I'm telling you, you can get a lot of pride by making those phone calls. If you tell yourself you're going to make 15 phone calls and then you make 20, it feels really, really good. It's kind of a dopamine hit that you're taking your business serious and you're putting in the activity to grow your business and grow your income. All of this record keeping is setting us up for future goal setting. So if you spend an entire year tracking the number of appointments you went on, the number of phone calls you made, the number of leads you got in, how many transactions you closed, how much you made, if you know those things, you can literally predict your income for the next year. This is why we keep track of these kinds of numbers so that we know what activities we need to do. We know how many leads we need each month in order to hit our income goals. If you are ready to build a tracking system and learn from other real estate agents who are tracking their data and finding success, I want to invite you to join the AGENTx Coaching Academy. It is a free community of real estate agents just like you. I host this community over on School. The link is in the description. It is in the bio. All you have to do, go over there, join up as a member. It's absolutely free, and I will provide you with any spreadsheet, any tracking system that you need. We will track the numbers that you want to track so that you can begin to understand your business in a way that you have never understood it before. Remember, what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets improved. You are going to want to improve it. That's what management is. You're going to make tweaks. You're going to make changes to your activities so that you can get closer and closer to your goal. So if this sounds like something that your business needs, I want to encourage you to start now. And your step number 1 is going to be to join me over at School. Go ahead and reach out to me through a message on School. I will provide you with the exact tracking spreadsheet and worksheet that you need. We are going to start tracking your numbers together. We are going to grow together. This has been another episode of the AGENTx podcast. My name is Chris. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you over at School.